To you at 6 a.m. Let's talk Hurricane Ian. We've got tropical storm watches in effect. Duval, Clay, Putnam, Bradford counties along the coast, essentially of the first coast. Ian strengthening now to a major Category 3 hurricane overnight.
The eye of the storm now over Cuba as Ian started making landfall overnight, and some impacts are already being felt in parts of the Keys and South Florida. Welcome in on this Tuesday morning, a busy Tuesday morning. I'm Keitha Nelson.
And I'm Luke Turner, obviously flanked with our team of meteorologists here, Robert Spetta, Mike Prangley joining us. With the impact of Ian now imminent, we've seen the utility trucks downtown Jacksonville lining up as a staging area, both from here in state but also out of state, all over the country now coming in. New video we just got from overnight.
So as the storm we know is already impacting Florida, we want to take a look right now at the size of the hurricane. You can see, just to give you an idea of how large it is, this picture captured from the International Space Station.
Here on Earth, the sewer backups and street flooding already happening in Miami. Look at that. Localized street flooding among our chief concerns here on the first coast. We do have crews covering every single angle of this storm for you. We've got team coverage beginning already this morning for Hurricane Ian, bracing and preparing. But first, let's get over to meteorologist Robert Spetta, kicking off our team coverage this morning with a look at the latest advisory from the National Hurricane Center.
All right, well, let's take a look at this. This came in at 5 o'clock this morning. We have winds now at 125 miles per hour in the center of this storm. Now, if you don't take anything away from this morning, these are some of the big things that I want you, at the very least, the takeaway. I want you to take away everything, but widespread street flooding possible 1 a.m. Thursday morning through Friday. We're looking at prolonged rainfall here out ahead of the storm system during it, and even into Friday now as it slowed down just a bit, especially Florida, Georgia south. Closer to St. John's, Flagler County, yeah, you're going to be even seeing more rain. 25 to 40 mile per hour winds, isolated gusts up to 65. We will not be seeing what's happening currently over at Cuba, which will eventually happen over towards the Tampa area as well. We're not looking at hurricane strength conditions here, but we are going to have our own form of messy weather. Here's a look at the hurricane hunters. NOAA flew out of Florida here. They're doing laps around the storm right now, getting us the latest information on it as it heads off here towards the north, eventually making landfall Wednesday night into Thursday morning. But here's the deal. Out ahead of that, rain bands are already working their way into Miami. By Wednesday morning, they'll already be working their way out towards I-4. Wednesday evening here into the Jacksonville area, we'll already start to see those rain bands creeping off here towards the north. For us, though, as I mentioned, the destructive weather is going to be on the West Coast. Meteorologist Mike Prangley, he's back in this morning. He's going to be discussing what's happening out there in Tampa. But for us, we actually kind of have this triple point low forming right there, and that's going to usher in that onshore wind. There is that threat of a coastal surge about 2 to 4 feet, but the big issue is if we see some banding setting up here, especially south of Jacksonville, or we could be looking at some rain totals adding up, maybe a half a foot up to a foot of total rainfall, backing up some of the bays and inlets as well. That's all some of the problems we're going to be looking at here. All right, so that's a look at the forecast. I'll be back breaking down area by area here in just a minute, but we do want to take a look at your roads here in the Duval Traffic Center.
Good morning.